Let's talk today about your Tesla coil. I'm going to show you a few things that you may not understand about them, or some things you may have seen but don't understand how to put it together. So let's go ahead and take a look. If I draw this, then I draw this, do you know what that is? Well, it just looks like a mess. That's what it looks like, right? Now let's do this a little better. Just put it a little closer together. And then we'll use a different color here, but we'll do the same thing. So what am I showing you here? Well, this is okay. Oh, I get it. That's the ring of your Tesla coil. So what's this other nonsense you're drawing up there? This is the ring of your number one coil. You're ringing at one frequency in order to match the frequency of your number two coil. Pretty interesting, right? This is the way it shows up on your oscilloscope. You have a probe over here to your number one coil. You have a probe to your number two coil. What do we generally see? We only see the number one coil. And we know that when it spikes, we put it in resonance. So you may get a little bit like this. You go, man, that's garbage. That's never going to work for us. Okay. What if we got this? You go, okay. Well, now we're getting somewhere. Okay. We're getting close. You go, okay, now I got some resonance frequency. But what am I actually showing you? If I told you these were radio frequencies, then you might understand a little better, right? So let's look at it. We want to build them out at each one, right? But how do they build in radio frequency versus how we see our Tesla coil? Well, let's entertain that for a minute. Let's just get rid of this. When I first put in my Tesla coil ring, you say, well, at one radio frequency it pings, right? So right there on that line. Say, okay, well, at the second one, we'll ping it again, ping it again, and ping it again. So what am I essentially saying? Every time I run across one of these, I get another radio frequency, right? That's where it rings the most before it goes back to the other side. Say, okay, but didn't you tell us before first that these were octaves? Well, yeah, I did. You go, so you're saying it's a radio frequency and an octave? Well, yes, it is. You see, now we're going into a little better understanding of what we're actually dealing with. An octave is 2/1. Okay? So it's building out the same way your octaves are, but I'm also building out every time in the radio frequency method. Every time you find resonance, it's at one of these points. And go, well, hold on, what does that also mean? Oh, well, let's travel down the rabbit hole with Nathan today. What if I just did this? Yeah, was that a snail? What if I told you it's the golden ratio? If I took and built this thing out, and I put a line across it, what am I showing you? No, you go, well, you're showing me an octave and you're showing me a radio frequency at distance, right? Well, I showed you the same thing a minute ago. Right? Isn't this the same thing right here? That's my Tesla coil ring. What's the trouble people have with this? Well, let me draw it the proper way then. Just say, well, that's pretty interesting, isn't it? You're drawing a tornado. You're saying that it's a Tesla coil ring. You're also telling me it's a golden ratio. You're also telling me it builds out in frequency. You're also telling me it builds out in an octave. Yeah, I am. This is how it's working. This is why we look at everything together when we build it and not as separate entities, because you get lost. These are all the same thing. Put it together very easily. You go, okay, what do I know about this that you may not? This whole thing is positive here. But if I drew it in this, and I said it's negative, you say, well, hold on. You're still talking about your Tesla coil, right? Yeah. They're both there. You don't realize it, but they're both there. Okay. Let's take a look. You see, I take my Tesla coil here. And I tell you that I'm building out the winding. Probably do this in red. Here. Okay, well, that's pretty familiar, but that's just a secondary coil, right? Well, I'm telling you that the same frequencies match up right inside here, and that when I tap the outside here, I get a positive field. We know that to be hot. There's no question about it. That's what it is. Here's where you don't understand it as much, and hopefully some of you are catching on to this. So I put the rod down the center, I'm capturing the negative here, and that right there is cold. Now, is it really super cold, like, man, I'm freezing in the winter? No. It's the room temperature okay, and slightly below it. That's it. That's all that I'm telling you. It's cold, it's negative, it's cold. Okay. Now, you go, now we're starting to understand the Tesla coil a little better. There's positive, there's negative, there's hot, there's cold, there's rings, there's octaves. Man, this thing's got a lot of stuff in it. Yeah, I'm sure you just thought it was a sparkler. Let's go a little more in depth. Tesla called this stuff radiant energy, and there's a very good reason for that. Now, here's something that you may not realize, but it does happen. If I took that frequency and I went to the megahertz, okay, what happens? Well, I start to get into a different type of energy, don't I? I'm going to create a microwave energy. Okay. Why? Well, you don't realize it yet. So let me explain it. This is the magnetron inside your microwave. For every distance from this point to this point, and they are consistent, I get a frequency. The same frequency, and they look just like that. If I drew it a lot better, you'd see it really clean. Every one of them is created a frequency. You go, okay, well, we pretty much know that, right? You go, okay, we have this little shape here. It goes around like this to every one. And then we tap. This right here, and it comes out to our microwave, right? You go, well, yeah, that's pretty simple. So we got basically the same frequency running around and around and around, repeating itself, and it comes out into our microwave. And you go, okay, but it has to happen in the megahertz or higher, right? You go, so what is your understanding to a Tesla coil of this then? You see, when I tap the negative, I'm tapping right there. I'm not tapping this. That's my positive. Tapping negative. You see, this is why people also do not understand anti-gravity. This right here, if you don't tap that, right now, grab your lunch, get out the door, and go somewhere else. Because you don't have it. You just don't have it. This right here is essential for it. So what are we doing in our Tesla coil? Again, this is our magnetron. Okay? Simply tapping the inside of it, just like I'm tapping it here. I'm getting kilohertz here, megahertz here. You're specifically setting one frequency in your magnetron. This right here is pulling off a golden ratio frequency and how it works. Isn't that interesting? We're not necessarily dealing with different things here. We're dealing with the amplitude of them. We're not dealing with the different energy. Step it up, step it down, however you want to see it. So what does that mean? That basically, when we convert anything that has to do with your Tesla coil, if we understand the type of energy we're working in, then we can understand how to transfer this energy. You see, it's all pretty much relative. If you didn't build this out, and if I wasn't telling you this, you probably wouldn't understand it. You see, this right here was a shortcut to this, and I could tell you why. Alexi built out this device. And you say, okay, that's your gravity flare, right? What is he doing? Well, this is your magnetron. You go, okay, I got magnetic on top and bottom, right? And because of that, I get a directional flow. Well, he did the same thing. Created a directional flow. He created magnetism in a very low level. He then took this and tapped right here. Right in the part that you guys will refuse to understand. He took the negative right out of it and he placed it here on this thing here. Okay, well, what's the rest of the device then, smart guy? If I took the piezo buzzer here and I simply found this, and I wanted this, take my piezo buzzer, which is on a Joule Thief circuit, and I'm amplifying this here. That's what I want. I want this right here, in this right here. I'm looking to amplify it right there. I'm going to set my saturation rate at this right there consistently. This right here is the same as this right here. Now when I push the button right here, I'm going to drop that in there and amplify it. And it doubles like a Joule Thief. Massive saturation all at once. They're tapping the negative in order to do it. What does that also mean? Here's the thing that drives me nuts. People don't understand this. Frequency produces energy. I tried to show this in my Tesla coils. When I set one Tesla coil here, and I have a second one here, I'm getting plasma out of this one, but only this one has a primary coil to it, and this one's just a winding. I have no physical contact with power, yet I am getting a bipolar Tesla coil out of it. I have a ring going in both sides and I'm getting energy out of both. You see, this is why people don't understand the negative energy. It's a flip. It cannot be static. It has to be a flip. We understand this in our magnetron itself. The inside of that power is the reverse field of the outside of that power. We use the outside of that power in order to cook our food. We cook burritos with it. I use the negative energy of the inside to light my burritos up at 3 feet away with the energy. It's a flip. It's the inverse of it. This is also why people don't understand zero-point energy. They cannot account for the room that they're standing in. They don't get it. Tesla told you there was a sea of energy. That means energy is all around you. It's how much of that energy you're pulling into your device. That's 0 point. A lot of people need to understand this. So, what am I actually doing with the gravity flyer? If I told you this is the Earth, right? Told you I got water, right? This is the atmosphere we live in right here. Okay, that's us. What do you not realize? I have water. You go, well, hold on, there's not a lot of it. Okay. This out here is space. I still have water. I have air. Okay? You go, so what am I actually doing? In Alexi's red light test, he showed it to you. If I created a bubble and I remove the water from there, it comes off as steam. And it looks like he's smoking. No, he just eliminated the water from the energy bubble that he created that people refuse to see because they don't know how the fields work. So, what happens then? It's all about buoyancy, isn't it? I'm just going to move that bubble up or down. That's it. That is the most simplified version that I can give you of the entire process of how that machine works. What's the problem? Every time I talk about it and I ask somebody about the fields, they have no clue what I'm talking about. They just don't get it. They've never created it. Because you've never created it, you don't understand it. You see, I get the same thing when it comes down to the rod and the Tesla coil. Because you've never done it, you quantify it as the outside of the Tesla coil. You don't understand it. I can ask you 1 or 2 questions and I know you don't have it. As soon as I sit there and tell you anything about the field and I ask you about it, I just take a couple questions and I know you don't have it. You see, every time you create this field bubble, it creates energy. One holds in the other, or if you flip it, it pushes the other away. Nobody understands it. I know you don't have it. You know, we all laugh at Jack Staffardi when he tells you you don't have it. Why? You don't talk about the negative energy. As soon as you don't talk about it, you don't have it. He already knows it. You're just wasting your breath. You're out there talking about the positive, the outside of this coil, and he can care less what the rest you got to say. He doesn't care about the math that you talk about. He doesn't care about any of it because you don't have it. We learned a long time ago. Why? Why did they learn this a long time ago? Oh, we love to do this. And Nathan, why are you drawing flowers? What is that? Well, it's a very bad drawing, I can tell you that. Flower of life, seed of life. Anybody understand that one? It is also the original structure of the magnetron. You see, back in the 30s, the Germans were out there learning from the occult. They went to every single thing and they learned everything that was there. They understood the carvings on the wall were representations of formulas on how to build something. They understand frequency. They put it all together. We got this information from them. And in the 50s, we started to put it out as a microwave oven. But it started Right there. When you look up an old magnetron, that's what you're going to find. It may look a little more complicated with a few more of these. I won't deny that. But it's the same thing. They knew this technology. They knew to tap the center of it. Every time you see it, always has that in the center of it. We look at Alexi's device and we start to look at why that man would build it like that. He flipped it the other side. "180 degrees out of phase." They knew it. They built the magnetron based on this kind of technology. The answer was out there right in front of you the whole time. The problem is you got so many words to quantify something that you forget what you're even doing. Energy works and flows in a certain way by frequency vibration, just like Tesla told you. That's the way we need to understand it. He already told you how to do radiant energy. He told you about all of it. Tesla has a simple patent. There's a plate, there's a load, there's your ground, there's your Tesla coil, Tesla told you. Directed energy. They use it for crowd control. We have it. We've always had it. We don't realize that they're all pretty much the same thing. It just depends how you manipulate it. All of these things, all of them, starts out with a simple understanding. Can you take that Tesla coil and understand what it really is? Or do you just think it's a sparkler? Every time I talk to somebody about this, they have no idea what I'm talking about. And I know right away they didn't create it. They didn't create anything to do with it. A Tesla coil, when going from one Tesla coil to the next, you cannot run them at a super high amount of energy because they're producing their own energy, and they give you a field that bounces back onto you and into the entire room. Everything in your room that's metal will burn you. When you start messing with Tesla coils and creating energy in secondary coils only, everything in your room that's metal will burn you. There is so much more energy in that frequency than ever could be put in by that power supply. This is why people do not understand Alexei when he built this machine. He has like 100 times more power than you ever will with your hot energy, because he has the right frequency in it. He's amplifying that frequency. I'm sorry that you don't understand some of this, for the people out there who keep telling me all this stuff. But that's the way it works. You see, I'll show you this right here. When you create 0 point in a coil, you have a hole right here in your coil. Okay? Let me draw this a better way, because I don't think people really understand it. Right here. Build your coil. Man, I wish I could draw better. I'm not just taking the energy that I'm running through the windings here. Okay? That's one part of it. I also have this thing set up in a toroid. So I'm getting an energy that spins already. This alone is not 0 point. What is? Every time the energy from the room goes in, comes out, energy stays and sticks here. If I say these are my electrons, I'm adding electrons to it every time it comes through there. What's the thing that's going on with this then? Well, you see, it continues to add every time it goes through it. Every time it goes through it, it adds more electrons to it. What's going on with the temperature? You see, the temperature drop is not something that you could just go over here and take and make it super cold in the center. All right? I have to get that energy from this. That's creating the cold because it's creating a vacuum. Every time it goes through the vacuum, it's taking the temperature in the room and I'm lowering it in here. Out here, it's room temperature. You say, well then, if it's lower here and it's room temperature here, I have a temperature differential between the two. Yes, you do. Because you created a vacuum going down the center. Therefore, your temperature in the room is going to reduce in the center because of the vacuum you created. That's 0 point. This point right here, this null zone is your 0 point. Your temperature differential creates your 0 point. It's not just about the energy you put into the coil. It's how much energy you pick up. If you say these are all electrons, by the time I'm done with this, I can keep drawing this all day, and I'm going to keep creating these, right? Also going to create this. This right here, oh man, I love this one. That's your time. That's it. Every time I build one field versus the other field that nobody seems to understand, it's time. That's all there is to it. If you create 0 point, you create gravity, you create time, dilation. That's pretty simple, right? I mean, I could say it in fancy terms, or I could just tell you what it is. My concern is, guys, I'm telling you everything of what it is, and people still don't understand because they have to put it in their fancy words. It doesn't have to be fancy, it just has to be right. You can create the energy if you know what you're doing. You see, that's why builders are important when it comes to understanding physics. I'm going to build it. Okay? That's the way it works. You can define it when I'm done. But this is the understanding. It shows up in tests. Guys, I've showed it to you. I have straight out put that cold energy right into it from that Tesla coil. Pulled the wire out. There's no energy going to it. Yet the energy stays in the coil. Why is it doing that? I created a temperature differential inside the coil, inside the entire room, entire thing, in order to create this. Now I created a 0 point field right there, taking in the energy. You know, you get lost in, does your system go over unity? Well, if the energy is all around you, what's over unity? If I match the energy of the universe, maybe that might be over unity. When I accomplish more energy inside of a system and I'm picking up energy from the room itself, is that still over unity to you? Or is it simply picking up more energy that was already there? You can define that. I don't have to because it works. Just a simple understanding. We should all start to understand how these principles work. Do not have to define it in fancy terms because it's a waste of my time. I simply need to understand this. I'm going to ring a Tesla coil. I understand what this is. People should understand it as well. I'm going to use this coil in order to do it. That's as simple as it gets. I create both fields in this, the positive and negative side of the field. We do a lot of investigation on this channel, guys. I've created a can to show you how to flip a field. A soda can. Now, it may sound like I'm bitching today. I'm just getting a little frustrated. You know, you try to talk to people and leave them comments on stuff, and they're so out in left field that they don't understand what you're trying to tell them. They think that they have this big understanding of physics. Well, yeah, you got a lot of fancy words. You don't have very many examples of it. I'm showing you examples. When I take a can, take my Tesla coil, I go over here, and I am simply creating a wrap around a soda pop can, right? I create another wrap which looks like this is a loop, and then I'm going to wrap them together, so I'm going to draw them as one, like this. I take one of the wires here, and the other ones I tap back to the soda can, and I take both wires off here, and I put it into my full bridge rectifier, and then I send two of them off to create DC. What did I know that you didn't know? I knew that as soon as I created the can, I'm creating a resonance chamber. Okay? That's pretty simple. I'm taking the windings. All I have is tape here as an insulator, and I'm putting in direct contact right here with the can. What's going to happen anytime you put windings around an aluminum can that has eddy current in it? It's going to heat up. The heat will go up. When the heat goes up, the volts go down. That's pretty easy understanding, right? The heat goes up, the volts go down. What happens to the amperage? Your amperage goes up. I'm just converting it. I understand how it works, so I am converting it very easily. I went from a giant radiant field down to a field that looks like a DC flyback field because I understood the conversion. Now that I know I'm in DC energy and it's a flyback energy, all I have to do is convert. This right here will heat up even more. What does it do? It gives you more amperage and less volts, but it's a conversion. Now, if this wire matches it in 1/4 of this, okay? One, two, three, four, we're in the 4th octave. I want 1/4 of it, and I want that right here. Now I'm going to pick up extra energy as a multiplier. because now I am matching one of the frequencies in my Tesla coil. Now I can pick up extra energy. That's how Don Smith did it. That's pretty simple, right? You know, I did a video on my channel about forcing resonance, and I really wish people would understand what I was trying to tell them. You see, you can hit the resonance value of your coil, which is at the very top. I was down in the third octave of that coil, but still making the energy go, still creating plasma. How? Because I knew exactly where I was in the field. I knew which octave I was in. That meant that those coils were actually resonating on the secondary coils and no attachments to them at the third octave. I did not build them correctly based on my number one coil, or my primary driving coil, I should say. Had I done that, and I did it in further experiments, that they run at the regular frequency of the coil, which means the very top frequency, or the biggest one that you see when I make the frequency right there on the board. Then it would have got optimized. What happens when you optimize it? Everything in your room that is metal will burn you. The energy in the room itself is amplified everywhere. Not just one coil, not two coils, but everywhere. I can go over my toolbox and it's amplified. I can go over my 3D printer, which is aluminum, and it's still amplified. Every bit of metal in your room will be hot to the touch. There's so much more energy and frequency. I wish people would really understand that. Easy conversion. Edwin Gray, what did he do? He understood what he was doing. He took that field. So I laugh every time I say it. Can you create cavitation in something and create more energy? You see, this is just where the cavitation is. The fields on it go beyond the level of the cavitation. So if this is your cavitation level, the field is going here. If this is my cavitation level, my field is going here. Now, Edwin Gray was able to push everything back and hold it on the outside. Now, all that radiant energy is stuck in here. At any level, you can pull off and get one level of your energy. Now, they did this in what, the Stasikiba experiment as well. They're doing the same thing. At each level, you could pull it off. As long as you create the energy here, it's different. That'd be negative energy. Now, there's two different types. There's radiant energy, which is negative, which is a very, very high level. Okay? Then there's regular energy, which is negative, which, the reason I showed you the entire thing right here with this coil, because this can be created with your MOSFETs running in negative. What does that even mean? It means that there's actually no heat. There's no heat. But you're pulling the negative side. So what are you doing? You're lowering the temperature. You are creating the environment for the 0 point right here to pull it in. Because of the temperature differential, it's going to have a flow. That's fairly simple. That's about as simple as I can make it without putting 100 words in there that just sound like gibberish to normal people. Edwin Gray used this in order to amplify the energy because he could pull off of it at any time. Don Smith used it in the frequency that he created. He knew how to create a quarter wave, a third wave, 2/3. He knew how to create those waves. It's all in the frequency he put in there. You get over unity when you can understand that frequency carries energy. You get 0 point when you can understand how to work the room. If you can create the energy in the room to come into your system, you have it. The temperature itself right here has to go down naturally. You see, we force it. When we start hitting it with a whole bunch of other stuff to make it frozen, we're forcing it. You're brute forcing it. You don't want to do that. You're creating the effect, not the cause. The cause is the temperature differential. The effect is it gets cold. Anyway, I hope you guys understand this. Sorry if I seemed irritated, guys. I try so hard to tell people this, and I don't think they even get it. So I hope that you guys do, and hopefully you understand where I'm at. So anyway, I'll just continue on building stuff and see where it goes, but this is the understanding of it. It's fairly simple. It's all on the same technology. You just had to understand exactly what it was trying to tell you. Anyway, have a great day. Thank you. Before we get out of here, I just want to let you guys know that I offer memberships on my channel now. It's a really cool thing. I do behind the scenes stuff. I give you more information. I also put things out early on it. All of my Fringe Think Tank Star Trek episodes will be on there. I just put out another one, a number 7 episode. Also, you're going to get emojis on there that you can use in the live chats. They're pretty cool. And as we grow our membership, I'll be able to put more emojis out there. Just a fun way to liven up the chat a little bit. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment. And have yourself a great day. Thank you very much.